It's a real pleasure to return, in my case, to the Committee of the Regions. Like Beatriz Toleñe and others I've worked with for many years. I think just a little less than 10 years on from the early warning system on subsidiarity is that we need to realize that the principle of subsidiarity isn't functioning as it should be. It was designed in such a way, and we're not making full use of it. But at the very least, the earlier warning system on this, we have to say, didn't really function. It had limitations. We couldn't get into the nitty-gritty of matters. We have tried 1,000 times and we never got an orange card after all of this. We have created mechanisms bringing together 14 national chambers, over 100 debates on this at national level, and we never got this orange card that we were striving for. Karl Heinz said this today. It's been said in the Parliament a few months back, the European Parliament. We are not making full use of subsidiarity. We're facing problems still with this. We have an enormous system with so many parliamentarians, and it's not being coordinated effectively regarding subsidiarity. There was an original format that had objectives that's not being used. National parliamentarians prefer to focus on their reports and their type of dialogue, and the figures and reports are telling subsidiarity is not being used here. The parliamentarians seem to want a different system that doesn't feature subsidiarity, and this is something that's concerning. People who defend the system defend it for many reasons. But we need to focus on the initial design. In the European Parliament, this is part of better regulation. I know in the Committee of the Regions, people want to connect active subsidiarity with better regulation. But for us, it's strictly better regulation in the European Parliament. And it's really urgent to flag this, that the system isn't working. We need to find alternatives or else focus on rectifying the current problems. The European Parliament is a co-legislator, and it doesn't make sense for it to intervene in the initial phases of proposing legislation. That's not its duty. The European Parliament also works in collaboration, of course, with other European institutions, such as the Committee of the Regions, and it's very important to keep this list. What does the Commission do in this regard? The Commission recognises that the active subsidiarity is there, but it isn't proposing any change. We need to say to the Commissioner, Sefcovic, that this is not working. I want to be sincere here. We're not accusing the Commission of doing nothing and leaving everything to the national parliaments, but we need to have a formal process in place for active participation in the design of standards and rules concerning subsidiarity. EU Commission officials read reports on this. They distribute duties out to the different units working on these matters. but it all gets lost and confused with all of the different chambers involved at nationals and local levels, for example. Now, the Conference on the Future of Europe, we had a lot of hope for this, but there was a grave error. I don't know who drafted the part on subsidiarity, but it was 25 years too late. It needed to be a more integral part of the process on the Conference on the Future of Europe. And we're talking about MEPs suggesting rules and standards for the act of subsidiarity, and I don't think that was the correct wording. And I'm thinking about what Karl-Heinz has said. The European Commission does have a lot of power, and it should be able to understand subsidiarity better. It shouldn't say, I'm going to use this to do something else. The European Commission needs to work on this dossier and make use of subsidiarity, make use of active subsidiarity at all the different stages, focusing on the initial mechanism, for example, the traditional one. We need to dispel negative ideas linked to this and get up and running the initial vision we had for subsidiarity, because it's something that deserves this. It should be used in multi-level governments. It should be used to help regional and local governments in their work in collaboration with the Committee of the Regions. There's one big obstacle that I want to finish up with. The big obstacle is that the European Parliament doesn't have the right to initiate legislation. And this creates a huge problem. The European Parliament doesn't have this right, so a national government is not going to have a right to do this. This creates huge obstacles. It doesn't help us in resolving the problem. We need to work in line with the European Parliament and give the Parliament the right to this initiative, to be able to initiate. And this will bring together national parliaments and regional parliaments too, giving them more rights to initiate processes. Thank you very much.